Energy. It's all around us. We use it all the time. But do we really actually pay attention to our energy use? In Arlington County, we are rethinking energy. Starting in the beginning of 2010, we embarked on what turned out to be a 3.5-year journey to create a community energy plan. That energy plan looks at all aspects of energy: generation, distribution, storage, use. And that award-winning and transformative energy plan could not have been done without the support of the elected officials, county manager's office, dedicated staff, and a wonderful consulting team, and as well as, but last but not least, the community. The community offering input, feedback, encouragement. That was very, very important. What I'm going to do over the next few minutes is talk about why energy planning is so very important in our lives, and why you should, if you don't already have one, have a community energy plan in your community. We take energy for granted. When we flip a switch, we expect to see the lights on. Now, in other parts of the world, that isn't necessarily the case. Energy demand greatly outpaces energy supply. And because of that, they have what are called rolling blackouts. Now, we're fairly fortunate in the United States. We don't have those sorts of issues on a regular basis, but we do have hiccups in the system. So there's times when you flip a switch, the lights don't come on. Or in the middle of a blustery, very cold winter night, the furnace doesn't come on. Or in the middle of a heat wave in the summer, the air conditioner decides not to come on. And in those instances, in my household, there's a lot of hand-wringing, a lot of problems start to occur. So it's important for us to think about energy and to make sure that we address it. When I like to watch football, and so I was watching football one time and I noticed the offensive lineman. I started thinking about it, and energy is like an offensive lineman in football. Follow the analogy. If you're watching a football game, you normally don't hear about the offensive lineman until something goes wrong with the performance of the offensive lineman. Same thing with energy. It's all sort of background noise until something goes wrong. It's time for us to reevaluate our views on energy. We are in the midst of an energy technology revolution. Think about LED bulbs. Back in 2013, just 3 years ago, you couldn't go pick up at the store an LED bulb for less than $25. Today, you can go to a hardware store and pick it up, put $5 on the counter, get change back. And those LED bulbs are more efficient and better quality. The graphic you see here talks about the photovoltaic cells, those cells that take sunlight and convert it to electricity. Back in 1977, it was over $75 a watt for those cells. 10 years later, price dropped all the way down to $10 a watt, and then just a couple of years ago, it dropped below $1 a watt. So the price has dramatically decreased over time, and the quality has improved. Opportunities abound for us, but it's up to us to be proactive, thoughtful, and effective energy managers in our everyday lives in order to take advantage of those opportunities. Now, there's nothing magical about energy planning. To be honest with you, it's a lot like trying to lose weight. Follow me in this process. So trying to lose weight, you step on the scale, and you look at, oh, I can do much better than this. I want to drop 10 pounds, because you look at where you are now and you want to lose 10 pounds by the time swim season starts. How are you going to do that? Well, you've set your goal, and now you have to figure out how to get there. I'm going to drink more water, I'm going to exercise more, and I'm going to stop nighttime snacking. And then a few weeks later, you step back on the scale and you see what progress you've made. All right? So that's the process for losing weight. Let's talk about energy planning. You establish your baseline by developing an energy use inventory or greenhouse gas emissions inventory, looking where you use energy and how you use it. Next thing is you start setting goals. You say, I want to reduce my energy waste by 30% by 2030. There's your goal. Then you're going to have to say, how am I going to get there? Well, how about increasing the energy efficiency of buildings and homes and creating incentive programs and rebate programs and to incentivize people to get there? And then lastly, about a year or two later, you do another greenhouse gas emissions inventory and you figure out how well you have progressed. And so it's very interesting to go ahead and do that comparison, but it's important to note that first you have to go ahead and establish that baseline and know where you start from. A couple of questions for you. Here's some audience participation time. For those of you who ride in cars or drive cars, think about this. Raise your hand if you can tell me within a couple miles per gallon what the miles per gallon you get in your vehicle. Go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, so well over half. We'll go about 70% of the audience could go ahead and do that. That's great. Second question. How many can raise your hand and tell me how many therms of natural gas or kilowatt hours of electricity you used in your home last month? I see one. Okay. That's the norm. Less than about 1% of audiences, when I give that question to those audiences, that's the response I get. A lot of people know about the vehicles, but when it comes to energy you use every day in your house, and I'm assuming you're all in your houses sometime during the day, you just don't pay attention to it. It's background noise. So we can be, and we should be, more effective energy managers as we move along. Now, there are three lenses through which we look at energy and we make our decisions. Economic competitiveness, energy security or resiliency, and environmental commitment, or as you heard earlier today, climate change is another way to think about it. So those three lenses, we look at energy decisions and make our decisions as we look at the ideas through those three lenses. All throughout the world, energy prices and demand are increasing as we speak. So it would make sense if we were good stewards of our resources to go ahead and manage that energy and our energy use. Let's think about the system right now with these lights on. The system right now is only around 35 to 40% efficient. So we're putting in $1 into the system, and our return on that dollar is only around 35 to 40%. Compare that to places like Copenhagen, where their efficiencies and their system is more like 80 to 90%. So there's a lot of economic competitiveness going on there, and our consultant liked to say that if you think about energy in relation to economic activity, or GDP, in the United States, if you compare our energy to GDP, compare us to the European Union, every single year we set ourselves in economic hole to the tune of around $600 billion. That's 600 billion with a B dollars per year, just because we waste so much energy. And you see there on the slide how wasteful we are in energy. And so once again, it is important for us as communities and as an entire nation to be cognizant of how we can improve ourselves, be less wasteful with our energy use, and increase our economic competitiveness. Now, our energy system is also very vulnerable to a number of different things. First of all, price fluctuations due to events all throughout the world. We have issues going on, wars that can affect and make the price of energy yo-yo up and down. Weather disruptions, those are also a problem. And then also man-made activities, such as gunmen decided to turn their guns on an electrical substation in California operated by PG&E and took out that electrical substation for close to a month. Now, these are all activities that show that the security of our energy is not as robust as it should be. Resiliency is about creating a robust energy system that can withstand those shocks and attacks. And in the event that the grid goes down, how do we bring it up as quickly as possible? How do we turn the lights back on and get productivity going again, whether it's in our home or in our businesses? Now, looking at these graphics that I have up on screen, on the left-hand side shows a building just left of center that's all lit up. Now, that building has done some energy planning, and they put in equipment into the building that takes natural gas and it converts it into electricity. And they're able to use that electricity to keep the lights on and keep things flowing in that building amidst the sea of darkness. And this is right after Hurricane Sandy, and this is Manhattan. And so it just goes to show you that good, proper energy planning helps to produce activity in buildings like that. Now, weather disruptions. Those weather disruptions can come in many different forms. Hurricanes come laboring across the ocean, and we have a lot of lead time to try to prepare for them. But there are other disruptions that can occur that don't give us a lot of lead time, that can also really have disruption to our energy systems. For instance, in 2003, a tree limb fell on a power line in Ohio. A cascade of events happened thereafter, And before you know it, in an 8-state area in the United States, it led to the Northeast blackout of 2003, where 45 million people were without power. Just a couple of years ago, a line of thunderstorms started off in the Midwest and barreled through and made its way through here. It was called a derecho. And that derecho led to power outages throughout the DC metro area for a number of days. And that was very impactful, particularly because it was the middle of summer and temperatures were in the 90s and it was relatively humid and the air conditioners were not on. So resiliency and energy security, a very important part of our energy systems, and we as communities can do better at reinforcing those systems. I mentioned environmental commitment. As we burn fossil fuels, we go ahead and create carbon dioxide. And that carbon dioxide impacts our local and global environments, the air we breathe, the water we drink. It can even impact our weather patterns. And so because of all that, we are addressing greenhouse gas emissions, trying to lower our greenhouse gas emissions in Arlington from 2007 to 2050 by more than 75%, increasing our energy efficiency and also our long-term sustainability. Now, there are 6 main headline areas of our energy plan: reducing the energy waste and increasing the energy efficiency of our buildings and homes in Arlington, existing and new buildings. In addition to that, taking the waste heat that is created right now from electricity. Right now we don't use it, and that's where the inefficiencies are really borne out in our energy systems. Use that waste to good use through district energy systems. And in terms of renewable energy, once you do the energy efficiency first, you're able to optimize the size of those renewable energy systems, such as solar photovoltaics and solar thermal systems, and do that much better in reducing reliance on fossil fuels. In Arlington, we're blessed with a very robust and impactful master transportation plan. Support that plan, support the multimodal efforts to get people out of single occupancy vehicles. County government actions, lead by example. And so whether that's putting in high efficiency equipment in our buildings, LED lights, or solar panels like we have on our central library, leading by example is very important. In addition to that, we have 3,500 employees. I'm one of 3,500. If I can effectively incorporate the goals of the community energy plan into the work and everyday work of each and every one of those individuals, they can all be ambassadors and champions to help spread the word and to help us implement our plan. And last but not least, we're not going to get to our goals through whiz-bang technology such as triple pane windows or other really important technologies. It's about the simple things, such as when you leave the room, flip a switch and turn the lights off. It's that sort of a behavior change that's going to make a big difference. If you have a community energy plan or an energy plan in your community, help to implement it. If you don't have a plan already, go ahead and use the resources from Arlington Department of Energy, a number of free resources, and reach out to your elected officials, reach out to other community leaders in your area, also to government officials, and say, we need this. Encourage them, urge them to create an energy plan. Do it for you. Do it for your family. Do it for the whole community. Do it for future generations. I look forward to seeing your progress. Thank you.